And happy Sabbath, everyone. Welcome to Word Redeux number 158. I hope everybody is having a good day as well as can be expected this morning. And, well, you know what we're doing, right? We are continuing on today in the book of 2Kings, chapters 3 and 4. Some very interesting events to relate on this. Don't forget, if you want to come out of Babylon or at least learn about it, take the free classes at c2kreport.com. We're going to be using biblestudytools.com/audio-bible/KJV today. If you want a lot of study tools, go to biblehub.com, eastward.net, blueletterbible.org, or kingjamesbibleonline.org. You can use what you think is the King James Bible or the 1611 King James Bible at that location. And that, thanks for posting that, Lynn. Let's go ahead and pray in, shall we? Heavenly Father, thank you very much for giving us this time to come together today, this morning, so we can study your word. And we would ask you to give us the knowledge and understanding that you want to impart to each of us collectively and as individuals from what it is we are reading today. We thank you for all that you provide and the refinements that you do to us. We would also ask you for safe travels for people that are traveling today and get them to their destination safely. And we also thank you for those who are having a special anniversary today, special day. We ask your blessing upon them as well. Every Sabbath is special, though. We know that. We thank you. Bless you in Jesus Yeshua's name. Amen. All right. Now, what are we doing? Oh, yeah, that's what we're doing. We're doing that. And I got to get this other thing over here like that. Let's see. There it is. Let me close this because we don't need noise from that. Believe me. We definitely don't need noise from that. This, that, volume, cinco mensajes, and let's get rolling.
2 Kings 3. Now Jehoram the son of Ahab began to reign over Israel in Samaria the 18th year of Jehoshaphat king of Judah, and reigned 12 years. And he wrought evil in the sight of the Lord, but not like his father and like his mother, for he put away the image of Baal that his father had made. Nevertheless he cleaved unto the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, which made Israel to sin. He departed not therefrom. And Mesha king of Moab was a sheep master, and rendered unto the king of Israel 100,000 lambs and 100,000 rams with the wool. But it came to pass, when Ahab was dead, that the king of Moab rebelled against the king of Israel. And King Jehoram went out of Samaria the same time, and numbered all Israel. And he went and sent to Jehoshaphat the king of Judah, saying, The king of Moab hath rebelled against me. Wilt thou go with me against Moab to battle? And he said, I will go up. I am as thou art, my people as thy people, and my horses as thy horses. And he said, Which way shall we go up? And he answered, The way through the wilderness of Edom. So the king of Israel went, and the king of Judah, and the king of Edom, and they fetched a compass of 7 days' journey, and there was no water for the host, and for the cattle that followed them. And the king of Israel said, Alas, that the Lord hath called these 3 kings together to deliver them into the hand of Moab. But Jehoshaphat said, Is there not here a prophet of the Lord, that we may inquire of the Lord by him? And one of the king of Israel's servants answered and said, Here is Elisha the son of Shaphat. which poured water on the hands of Elijah. And Jehoshaphat said, The word of the Lord is with him. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat and the king of Edom went down to him. And Elisha said unto the king of Israel, What have I to do with thee? Get thee to the prophets of thy father, and to the prophets of thy mother. And the king of Israel said unto him, Nay, for the Lord hath called these 3 kings together to deliver them into the hand of Moab. And Elisha said, As the Lord of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, surely, were it not that I regard the presence of Jehoshaphat the king of Judah, I would not look toward thee, nor see thee. But now bring me a minstrel. And it came to pass, when the minstrel played, that the hand of the Lord came upon him. And he said, Thus saith the Lord, Make this valley full of ditches. For thus saith the Lord, Ye shall not see wind, neither shall ye see rain, yet that valley shall be filled with water, that ye may drink, both ye and your cattle and your beasts. And this is but a light thing in the sight of the Lord. He will deliver the Moabites also into your hand. And ye shall smite every fenced city and every choice city, and shall fell every good tree, and stop all wells of water, and mar every good piece of land with stones. And it came to pass in the morning, when the meat offering was offered, that behold, there came water by the way of Edom, and the country was filled with water. And when all the Moabites heard that the kings were come up to fight against them, they gathered all that were able to put on armor, and upward and stood in the border. And they rose up early in the morning, and the sun shone upon the water, and the Moabites saw the water on the other side as red as blood. And they said, This is blood. The kings are surely slain, and they have smitten one another. Now, therefore, Moab to the spoil. And when they came to the camp of Israel, the Israelites rose up and smote the Moabites, so that they fled before them. But they went forward, smiting the Moabites, even in their country. And they beat down the cities, and on every good piece of land cast every man his stone, and filled it. And they stopped all the wells of water, and felled all the good trees. Only in Kir Hareseth left they the stones thereof. Howbeit the slingers went about it, and smote it. And when the king of Moab saw that the battle was too sore for him, he took with him 700 men that drew swords, to break through even unto the kings of Edom, but they could not. Then he took his eldest son that should have reigned in his stead, and offered him for a burnt offering upon the wall. And there was great indignation against Israel, and they departed from him, and returned to their own land. 2 Kings 4. Now there cried a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets unto Elisha, saying, Thy servant my husband is dead, and thou knowest that thy servant did fear the Lord, and the creditors come to take unto him my 2 sons to be bondmen. And Elisha said unto her, What shall I do for thee? Tell me, what hast thou in the house? And she said, Thine handmaid hath not anything in the house, save a pot of oil. Then he said, Go borrow thee vessels abroad of all thy neighbors, even empty vessels, borrow not a few. And when thou art come in, thou shalt shut the door upon thee and upon thy sons, and shalt pour out into all those vessels, and thou shalt set aside that which is full. So she went from him, and shut the door upon her and upon her sons, who brought the vessels to her, and she poured out. And it came to pass, when the vessels were full, that she said unto her son, Bring me yet a vessel. And he said unto her, There is not a vessel more. And the oil stayed. Then she came and told the man of God, and he said, Go sell the oil, and pay thy debt, and live thou and thy children of the rest. And it fell on a day that Elisha passed to Shunem, where was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. And so it was, that as oft as he passed by, he turned in thither to eat bread. And she said unto her husband, Behold now, I perceive that this is an holy man of God, which passeth by us continually. Let us make a little chamber, I pray thee, on the wall, and let us set for him there a bed, and a table, and a stool, and a candlestick. And it shall be, when he cometh to us, that he shall turn in thither. And it fell on a day that he came thither, and he turned into the chamber, and lay there. And he said to Gehazi his servant, Call this Shunammite. And when he had called her, she stood before him. And he said unto him, Say now unto her, Behold, thou hast been careful for us with all this care. What is to be done for thee? Wouldst thou be spoken for to the king or to the captain of the host? And she answered, I dwell among mine own people. And he said, What then is to be done for her? And Gehazi answered, Verily, she hath no child, and her husband is old. And he said, Call her. And when he had called her, she stood in the door. And he said, About this season, according to the time of life, thou shalt embrace a son. And she said, Nay, my lord, thou man of God, do not lie unto thine handmaid. And the woman conceived, and bare a son at that season that Elisha had said unto her, according to the time of life. And when the child was grown, it fell on a day that he went out to his father to the reapers. And he said unto his father, My head, my head. And he said to a lad, Carry him to his mother. And when he had taken him and brought him to his mother, he sat on her knees till noon, and then died. And she went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, and shut the door upon him, and went out. And she called unto her husband, and said, Send me, I pray thee, one of the young men, and one of the asses, that I may run to the man of God, and come again. And he said, Wherefore wilt thou go to him today? It is neither new moon nor Sabbath. And she said, It shall be well. Then she saddled an ass, and said to her servant, Drive, and go forward. Slack not thy riding for me, except I bid thee. So she went, and came unto the man of God to Mount Carmel. And it came to pass, when the man of God saw her afar off, that he said to Gehazi his servant, Behold, yonder is that Shunammite. Run now, I pray thee, to meet her, and say unto her, Is it well with thee? Is it well with thy husband? Is it well with the child? And she answered, It is well. And when she came to the man of God to the hill, she caught him by the feet. But Gehazi came near to thrust her away. And the man of God said, Let her alone, for her soul is vexed within her. And the Lord hath hid it from me, and hath not told me. Then she said, Did I desire a son of my Lord? Did I not say, Do not deceive me? Then he said to Gehazi, Gird up thy loins, and take my staff in thine hand, and go thy way. If thou meet any man, salute him not, and if any salute thee, answer him not again. And lay my staff upon the face of the child. And the mother of the child said, As the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And he arose and followed her. And Gehazi passed on before them, and laid the staff upon the face of the child. But there was neither voice nor hearing. Wherefore he went again to meet him, and told him, saying, The child is not awaked. And when Elisha was come into the house, behold, the child was dead, and laid upon his bed. He went in therefore, and shut the door upon them twain, and prayed unto the Lord. And he went up and lay upon the child, and put his mouth upon his mouth, and his eyes upon his eyes, and his hands upon his hands. And he stretched himself upon the child, and the flesh of the child waxed warm. Then he returned, and walked in the house to and fro, and went up and stretched himself upon him. And the child sneezed 7 times. And the child opened his eyes. And he called Gehazi, and said, Call this Shunammite. So he called her. And when she was come in unto him, he said, Take up thy son. Then she went in, and fell at his feet, and bowed herself to the ground, and took up her son, and went out. And Elisha came again to Gilgal, and there was a dearth in the land. And the sons of the prophets were sitting before him. And he said unto his servant, Set on the great pot, and seethe pottage for the sons of the prophets. And one went out into the field to gather herbs, and found a wild vine, and gathered thereof wild gourds his lapful, and came and shred them into the pot of pottage, but they knew them not. So they poured out for the men to eat. And it came to pass, as they were eating of the pottage, that they cried out and said, O thou man of God, there is death in the pot. And they could not eat thereof. But he said, Then bring meal. And he cast it into the pot. And he said, Pour out for the people, that they may eat. And there was no harm in the pot. And there came a man from Baal Shalisha, and brought the man of God bread of the first fruits, 20 loaves of barley, and full ears of corn in the husk thereof. And he said, Give unto the people, that they may eat. And his servitor said, What, should I set this before 100 men? He said again, Give the people, that they may eat. For thus saith the Lord, They shall eat, and shall leave thereof. So he set it before them, and they did eat, and left thereof, according to the word of the Lord.
Yes, according to the word of Yah. All right, let's go back to chapter 3. There's actually more in this than a lot of people suspect. I think that is my belief in. Let's see, what do we got to do? Click. There we go. All right. So, we got the son of Ahab reigning over Israel in Samaria. And he's evil. Yes, he is evil. And Mesha, the king of Moab, a sheep master, rendered unto the king 100,000 lambs. That's a lot of lambs. That's a lot of lambs. And 100,000 rams with the wool. So that's like giving them food for hundreds of thousands of people, and treasure chests with treasure inside, right? Wool is some expensive stuff. Very useful stuff. It's I find that just really fascinating. But then, after Ahab's dead, he's like, the king of Moab, Mesha, right? He's like, I don't have to abide by this anymore. So they're going to rebel against Israel. And Jehoram, right, numbers Israel. Remember, kingdom of Israel and the kingdom of Judah are separate at this time. So he goes to Jehoshaphat and says, hey man, why don't we form this alliance? And we can sneak up behind him, right? Going through the wilderness of Edom. So the king of Israel and the king of Judah hook up with the king of Edom. Right? So we got one that is in present in the favor with Yah, and two that are not. 2/3 of this alliance are not in the favor of our Heavenly Father. And remember, Edom is Esau. Jacob's Israel's enemy. So they're making an alliance with their sworn enemy, or at least the enemy swore them to be the enemy. And they go up and they look for a prophet to see what's going to happen, right? Isn't there a prophet of the Lord here? Is what Jehoshaphat wants to know. And so they seek out Elisha, who was the servant of Elijah, and they get him, and it's awesome, right? And he tells the king of Israel, what do I have to do with you? Go to the prophets that your father Ahab and your mother right? Jezebel. Go to those prophets. And the king of Israel said, no, no. Yah called these 3 kings together to deliver them into the hand of Moab. So then Elisha says, okay, as Yah, right, of hosts of armies lives, before whom I stand, surely, were it not that I regard the presence of Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, I wouldn't even look your direction or see you. So he says, bring me a minstrel, right? Bring me a musician. And so the musician starts rocking out. And Elisha is given a word from Yah. It says the hand of Yah came upon him. He says, make this valley full of ditches, right? You're not going to see wind. You're not going to see rain. You're not going to see the storm. But that valley will be filled with water that you may drink, you, your cattle, and your beasts. And he will deliver the Moabites into your hand. So he's giving them the victory, right? So 2 enemies, or 2 people fallen, 2 kingdoms fallen in the sight of Yah, are going to be surfing, riding the blessing that's being put on Jehoshaphat to win this victory. That's really interesting. Right? Causes the rain to fall on the just and the unjust. And this is also very interesting too, because they don't see the storm. And if you're out here in the desert during monsoon seasons, you can be where it's sunny and see clouds peeking up from over behind the mountains, and it's pouring massive storms in the mountains, and then you'll get a flash flood where you're standing. It is amazing, and that's what's being described here, right? You're not going to see wind or rain, but you're going to get a whole bunch of water. Alrighty. And then, right, because they're being delivered into your hand, you're going to smite every fenced city, every choice city. You're going to fall every good tree, right? Chop them down. You're going to stop up all the wells of water and mar every good piece of land with stones, right? If you've ever had to build a garden in a place that is filled with rocks, that's what this sounds like, right? They're not going to be able to farm there anymore. But there's an interesting thing as we get down further, right? Because the Moabites split. They're gone. They're like, oh no, we're going to get stomped. And so this band of allies, if you will, chase after them, smiting the Moabites, even in their country, their own country of Moab, right? They beat down the cities, and on every piece of good land cast every man his stone. Now that's really strange there. Like they all just carried a stone. But if you look at that word in the Hebrew, it is, what is it? It's Hebrew 68, Eben, right? It's from the root of 1129, but it means to build or a stone. But I find it, basically, they're claiming, okay, this is my piece of property, is what it sounds like. This is my booty land from, this is my booty land from the battle. Okay. Very interesting, though. So, the king of Moab takes off, tried to break through the line where the king of Edom was, and they couldn't. And then what's he do? The king of Moab takes his eldest son, who would have been the king next, and sacrifices him. Man, what a system they got there. You know what? Things are obviously turning bad. I think I'll sacrifice my child, my adult child. What a system. What a system. All right, let's go to chapter 4 in 2 Kings. I'm just trying to catch up on the chat. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. That all caught up. That didn't take long. All right. 2 Kings. So we have, very interesting, we got the widow with the oil, which is fantastic. Now, I'm curious, is this a miracle, or is this her not managing what she has correctly? Right? Let me see if you understand what I'm saying. She had the huge container of oil, and she's like, "What am I going to do? We're in debt, and they're going to take my sons to be bondservants for the debting, for the indebtedness." And, well, he's got something to say about that, right? He says, "What do you got in your house?" And she's all, "I don't have anything except for this big, huge pot of oil." Now, we don't know how big the pot is. But he says, "Listen, go get vessels from all your neighbors, empty vessels, as many as you can get, right? Borrow not a few. And when you come in, seal up the doors, and you're going to pour out into all those vessels until you fill them up." And so they start filling these vessels. And it came to pass when they were all full, she told her son, "Bring me another vessel." He's like, "There's no more vessels. We've borrowed every vessel in the entire village and all the farms round about." Right? And the oil is still in the pot. So she came and tells him, and he's like, "Okay, now go sell the oil." Rather interesting, I think. She always had it, but what was she doing with it? Right? That goes to something that's been coming a lot. You work with what you got. You have no choice, really. You have to work with what you got. So then we have Elisha and this unnamed Shunammite woman. And this is a very interesting telling of itself. And I thought I saw somebody comment on this. Yes, there's that. So she feels this compassion for Elisha, has her husband build him this little apartment. And, he's coming by. He's eating fresh bread. Fresh bread. Of course you're going to come by all the time if there's fresh bread, right? Who doesn't like fresh bread? Yeah. Nobody doesn't like it. Okay. Fresh bread's the way to go. Anyways, so he's got this bed, this desk, and this stool in there. He's like, "This is pretty cool." And he starts thinking, you know what? I should do something for her. And despite her saying, there's nothing I need. I don't need anything. Right? So what's he do? He asks his assistant, "What does she need?" Well, she's old and she doesn't have any child. Her husband's really old. So on Yah's behalf, he allows her to carry a child, to become pregnant. Pregnant. And she conceives and bears a son, even though she didn't want that. Okay, so the child was grown, and it fell on a day when he was going out to harvest the crops with his dad. And this is kind of interesting. I'm thinking that this sounds like allergies almost. If you've ever been around chopping up a lot of plants, it's almost what it sounds like to me. Can you die from allergies? Yeah, absolutely. I know some people that almost recently died from allergies. It was not a good scene, man. So, the son dies, right? What's he say? He's complaining about his head, right? My head, and then he collapses. She holds him until he dies. So then she tells the servants, get the donkey ready, and she's going to go find Elisha. And she finds him. Now Yah, doesn't show her that he is coming. Right? This is a blind spot for him. And she gets there, and his assistant Gehazi, that tries to keep her away. And he's like, no, let her alone, And she voices this beef that she has with him. She's like, didn't I tell you I didn't want a son? I didn't ask you for him. And then now I've got this situation with the son that you gave me. He'd be dead. So he goes, gets there. Remember, he sent his servant ahead to whack him on the head, whack him on his face with a stick. He'll get up. He didn't get up. And so when he gets there, he closes everybody else out because she put him in the little prophet room that she had her husband build for Elisha. He goes in there and he lays on him like a mirror, right? So eyes to eyes, mouth to mouth, hand to hand, and it almost sounds like a slow motion sort of CPR to me. To me, that is the way I'm looking at it. It's very, very interesting. We have these hints towards something like this. Yep. Yeah, aneurysm. An allergy-caused aneurysm. Possibly. Who knows? The significance of him laying like that, I think it's to do a rudimentary CPR, right? Emergency breathing. Just like they teach you in first aid BLS. I know you took that. Your job requires it. That. Yeah. Yeah, there's the sneezing too. 7 sneezes. After he awakens. That's kind of what leads me to believe that it's allergies, right? I sneezed the other day and pinched a nerve in my neck. That was not the most joyous experience at all. It really wasn't. Yeah. Okay. And then we have one more here, right? Elisha purifies the deadly stew. Right? So they get this big old huge pot of wild gourds. I don't know if you have wild gourds where you are, but they're mighty bitter. You'll think, oh, look at that yummy thing growing. Yeah. Oh, it's not very yummy at all, whatsoever. So I find this interesting, right? They're saying there's death in the pot. Let's see what they're talking about for the word death there. They're crying to Elisha, there's death in the pot. Or is this a prophecy about marijuana, man? Okay, so there's death in this pot of stew. Pot, thorn, hook. Interesting. Oh, that's pot. I want death. That's the one I want. Maveth. Death. Dead. Hades. Pestilence. Ruin. Okay. It's not a very good pot. Not a very good pot of stew. Yeah. Right? The kind that you pick at and you're like, I'm really not that hungry, thank you. Okay. So it's interesting. What's he tell them to do? He tells them to bring meal. Doesn't say what kind of meal. Are we to assume that it's barley meal or wheat meal? And he throws it in there. And that somehow neutralizes this death pot, this death pot that's in there. I don't know. Very interesting. So then, after that, this dude comes from Baal. What is it? Baal Shalisha. Now, what is that? Something to do with Baal, I'm sure. Baal Shalisha. Okay. Baal of Shalisha. Okay. A place in Palestine. Interesting. And he's got 20 loaves of barley from the first fruits, right? And full ears that says corn in the husk thereof. Could be corn, I suppose. You have people that say, no, corn never was discovered until the New World. And then they have stuff they find in tombs of pharaohs. Okay, anyways. So he's, right, his servant is like, so what do I do? He's like, give it to the people, let them eat. Right? So now they also have this bread that is being served up with them, with this stew that has been mixed with the meal. So it's like the original hamburger helper. Right? Yep, this is true. Olive leaf extract lowers blood pressure or regulates. So they say. Watch, it's going to get this video banned now. They're giving medical advice. No, we're not. We're just giving commentary. All right. So that pretty much wraps this up. Now, there's something that's very interesting. You see a lot of people, I guarantee you see a lot of people commenting on it. There is, in the UN nation of Israel, a swarm of ravens, like huge influx of ravens, as well as what they're calling a plague of bees. And that brings two other things to my mind, and this is just for everybody here to consider. But, right, in Revelation, we see that Yah prepares the fowls of heaven to devour the bodies of men. Of course, we also have a lot of prophecy talking about how many bodies are going to be in the land. And then the other thing I was thinking about, all these bees coming out of nowhere, right? So what is it that the secular world always tries to say, right? They're always talking about Judah is a lion. Judah is a lion. And then we have Samson that kills a lion. And then these bees make a hive inside the lion's corpse while it's still fresh. And he gets honey out of there. So I'm wondering about this symbology and then all these bees appearing in United Nations Israel. It's something to ponder. I believe it's something to ponder. Think about it, and since we're going to be ending this in very short order, that put it in the comments below the video, if you would, please. Don't forget, subscribe, share, like, and ring the bell. You know you want to ring the bell. It's nice. Did anybody else see the videos of the Eastern Orthodox Church, how they celebrated the resurrection? When it's still dark, because that's what it says in John, and they found the tomb empty while it was dark, they start ringing church bells all over the place. And that really is enough to wake the dead. Yep, that is an odd behavior for bees. It really is. Inside a fresh corpse. Inside a fresh corpse. That's the thing that is really amazing to me. Fairly fresh corpse. That is rather amazing. So, anyways, ponder all that stuff. Continue to pray for people that are traveling. They need it. They do need it. We need it too, right? Everybody needs prayer. Pray for new relationships. You know what I'm talking about. That. How weird. Okay. That is, and I don't mean just me. Yes, I am weird, but I prefer the term peculiar. All right, everybody, it's a day of rest. Other people have other celebrations that are going on too. Get them done. Love you all. Bye.